Okay, 1 minute warning. I will call the meeting to order. Good morning and welcome to the September 3rd, 2025 Executive Committee meeting. We acknowledge that we are on traditional lands of Treaty 4 territory, a treaty signed with 35 First Nations across southern Saskatchewan and parts of Alberta and Manitoba, and the original lands of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Nakota, Lakota, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. The City of Regina owes its strength and vibrancy to these lands and the diverse Indigenous peoples whose ancestors' footsteps have marked this territory, as well as settlers from around the world who continue to be welcomed here and call Regina home. Some members of the committee and the city administration may be attending the meeting today through video conferencing. I would like to remind those members of the following. Please ensure that your video camera and microphone are turned off. If a member of committee wishes to speak, use the raised hand function to be placed into a speaking queue. When speaking, remember to unmute your microphone and enable your video camera, and all votes will be conducted with a recorded vote. The deadline to register as a delegation for reports recommended for consideration by City Council at its meeting scheduled for September 10th is 12 p.m. on Monday, September 8th. So I go here, right? Approval of public agenda. Can I have someone move a motion to approve the agenda at the call of the chair with the addition of the registered list of delegations. Councillor Zakiniak? I will call the question. Any opposed? Carried. Adoption of minutes. Can I have someone move a motion to adopt the minutes of the public meeting held on August 20th, 25? Councillor Fro? Any errors or omissions? Carried. I'll call the question. Carried. Sorry. Oh, is anyone opposed? Now it's carried. Okay. So one. We will now consider EX 25-76 Community Nonprofit Tax Exemptions 2026. Councillor Fro?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, I'd just like to declare a conflict. Several of the nonprofits listed in this policy are clients of mine, so I'm going to recuse myself, please.
All right, thank you. I would, okay. Okay. I would like to call upon Delegation Ann Perry. All right. Please introduce yourself for the record, the organization you are representing, if applicable, and where you live. You have 5 minutes to address the Executive Committee, after which you will have the opportunity to respond to any questions that members may have for you.
Good morning, Your Worship and City Councillors. My name is Ann Perry and I'm the Executive Director of Circle Project. I live in Regina, Saskatchewan, where I was born and raised, and a proud member of the City of Regina community. With me is Tyra Kashawadam, who is our Manager of Children's Services. We'd like to begin by saying thank you to the City of Regina for the support Circle Project has received over some 30 plus years, and we're especially grateful for our 2024 move into Stream 2 of the tax exemption policy, granting Circle Project a 4-year 100% tax exemption for our location at the corner of 5th and Elphinstone. That exemption has really helped us expand and stabilize our lunch program and our outreach programs to make a bigger positive impact in the heart of North Central Regina. Through our lunch program alone, we distributed 18,176 lunches in a 12-month period, as an example. In addition to the important work being done at our main facility, equally important is the work being done at our 2 licensed childcare facilities operating under the Circle Project umbrella and following both our mission and mandate as an Indigenous community-based organization. Although both centers operate under the provincial licensing for daycares, neither of our centers are typical daycares. Our work with children is more closely aligned to specialized early childhood services and education programs that operate in the City of Regina and are granted tax exemptions. It was on this basis and the recognition that Circle Project was a Stream 2 agency that we applied for a tax exemption for our childcare centers. You only need step through the doors of our facilities to see the environments, governance, and daily practices are distinct and different. The centers are filled with culturally significant and supportive environments, and Indigenous 80%, 75 to 80% of the children enrolled at our centers are Indigenous. Because all are welcome, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous children learn about Indigenous culture, which promotes understanding and acceptance that can carry into adulthood from early childhood. We are also one of the very few daycares in the center or in the city that is supported by REACH and have been for over 25 years. Additionally, most daycares stand alone and operate individually under a parent board. Our centers are governed by the Circle Project Council, which is our board of directors, and it's derived from the community. Currently, we have a 75% mandate for Indigenous participation on our board level, and it currently sits at 100%. Indigenous staff also make up a large portion of our staff, with 75% of our total staff being Indigenous, and the average tenure of our staff is 7 years. In keeping with City of Regina's objectives to align, support, and fund community-based organizations and initiatives that directly address truth and reconciliation calls to action, Circle Project shares the following information. We operate unique cultural programs and activities in response to TRC calls to action 10, 12, and 14, which speak to the education of Indigenous children. Only 5% of licensed daycares in Regina are Indigenous, and we are one of only 2 centers that are in that category. In what we call reconciliation and action in our community, Circle Project hosts special community events on National Indigenous Peoples Day and for TRC Day to promote community understanding, unity, and healing. Included in the important cultural programming we provide for preschool children, this Cultural Connections for Kids program is currently delivered at both the centers. The CCK program offers cultural learning for languages and traditional teachings, inclusive programming, elder involvement, and parent nights, which promote the building of relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous families. In the report before you today, the Circle Project Children's Centers are not recommended for tax exemptions and have been deemed as ineligible. We are respectfully requesting that this recommendation be reconsidered and the culturally relevant and important specialized services provided under the umbrella of Circle Project
30 seconds.
are approved for tax exemption at the level in Stream 2 under the umbrella of Circle Project, or at least considered for Stream 3 with the other specialized children's services. Thank you all for your attention, and we hope to repay your investment many times over. We'll answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you for your presentation. Do any members have questions of the delegation? I thought I hit it. Oh, sorry. All right. Councillor Zakindiak?
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Yes, I do see that in our report, that under the policy, what it states, and so I just wanted to make sure I understood and get your response to that. So that you had requested a tax exemption for both of your child care centers and that the child care centers are not eligible. So are you saying that you think that is not accurate, or you're asking for us to make an exception? I just want to make sure I understand.
Well, I think the response to that is a little bit of both. We are not a typical daycare, as mentioned in my presentation, because of the programs and services we offer for the families and the children in our centers. There was a tax exemption for all daycare centers, and we fell under that. But I think that for us, the other specialized childcare services are considered in Stream 3. And we were considered for Circle Project in Stream 2 in 2024 and moved up. So, whatever help you can give us in the area, we do feel we deserve to be considered as a specialized early childhood service in the City of Regina.
And sorry, which stream would that be under, like the specialized?
Well, we'd prefer to be in Stream 3 along with the other Circle Project services and programs offered at our 5th and Elphinston location, because the children's centers are both under our umbrella for Circle Project. We have the same board, we have the same mandate and mission. So, at very least, that would be in a perfect world where we would like to see our children's centers along with Circle Project under our umbrella. Alternatively, if we were in Stream 3 along with the other specialized childcare services in the City of Regina, we would welcome that as well. Any relief would be helpful.
Okay, thank you. I'll have to ask administration for some clarification about the process. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Turnbull?
Hi, thank you for being here in your presentation. I'm just trying to understand, similar to Councillor Zakiniak, which question would be the main, what we can do and what the ask is. And so, am I hearing you right that you feel like you sort of feel like you fell through the cracks with the different options?
Yes, that's very accurate and very perceptive. Thank you, because that's exactly what we feel like. We don't, we're licensed under the province as a licensed childcare center, but our programs are very specialized. You know, we work with the Department of Social Services, and at sometimes there's been 50% of our enrollment have been children that are in the care of the department. Under specialized contracts, which is not typically what you see at a daycare center. In addition to that, the Specialized Cultural Connections for Kids program is an additional program that we've developed and tested and had evaluated to produce positive outcomes for early childhood education and give kids an extra head start before they go to school.
Okay. So if I understand this correctly, so you're a daycare, but you're a daycare plus wraparound services.
That's correct.
And so because of that, you fall in more than one designation?
Yes.
And so currently, is it because you have more than one designation or occupancy, you're not getting either?
That's correct. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why we're not, because the Circle Project Children's Centers operate under the umbrella of Circle Project, and we are in Stream 2, 100% tax exempt for 4 years. And yet our daycares are considered ineligible. And when we look at the report and we see other organizations that have multiple locations, all of those locations are considered. So we're a little bit confused as to why.
So if I understand this correctly, you have more than one use, so it's like a mixed occupancy. So right now you're at a point where you're getting rejected by the grants for all the occupancies instead of accepted by one of them. So really what we need to do is find out we'll talk to them and so that you can be accepted for something, correct?
Yes, perfect. That would be preferable.
Yeah. I come from like construction, so like I think things of occupancy, I know that's the wrong term, but like we'll figure out, hopefully I can ask admin to figure out what your primary occupancy is, and then we can get you in the right stream for, would that be a good solution?
Well, we have 3 locations, so the best solution would be that the children's centers would be considered under Stream 2, where Circle Project has been approved and was moved in 2024.
So,
we find it unusual that one of our locations is in Stream 2 and the other 2 locations are not granted, are deemed ineligible.
That's because you're doing so much stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
So I don't know what's happening with, let's say, Hope's Home, but would you say you're more comparative to like daycare plus additional services?
The Hope's Home is a specialized center for special needs kids. I would consider us closer to Early Learning Center or SCEP Center are good examples. The difference with those is that those are preschool part-time programs, and ours is full-day services.
Okay. Well, I think our staff is really excellent, and I'm sure that we can work out where you fit in on this. But thanks for presenting and telling us about what you do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Councillor Zakiniak?
Thanks. I realized I had another question, which is, and I think you partially answered it. So in the past, all 3 locations were in Stream 2 and previously funded, like through this program, or I just wanted clarity. You're saying what is recommended this year is you're asking for something different. What happened in the past?
So in the past, Circle project in 2024, the main location at 5th and Elphinstone was moved into Stream 2 after we did a presentation for City Council, the Mayor and City Council at that time. At the same time, the children's centers were included under the partial tax exemption for daycares in the city of Regina. So they were already covered under a tax exemption. The two centers were already covered under a tax exemption of 40%. Along with all the other daycare centers that were operating in the city that were in their own locations. And so that's why there is this confusion, because now that is coming to an end at the end of 2025 for our daycares, and there has not been a decision made on what's going to happen with daycares. I'd like to just also add that the specialized children's services we provide are more wraparound services. So if, for an example, there's a family member, a mom comes in, a single mom comes in, and she's been the victim of violence of any kind, we have an opportunity to make an immediate referral to the Circle Project Family Violence Program. The same with if someone becomes homeless. We've got that connection with the bigger circle, and so parents can deal with the adult issues while we're working with the children and helping them have some stability in their life at a time of crisis.
Okay, thank you. And so I understand the difference with the daycares. Is it the case then that in the recommendations, like there's a bunch of charts, I was trying to piece it together, but is the Elphinstone location currently being recommended by administration under Stream 2 for a tax exemption in 2026, or no?
The location on 5th and Elphinstone was included last year in 2024 in Stream 2 and has a 4-year 100% tax exemption.
Okay, so that one's, no concerns with that one at this time? Okay,
no.
Thank you.
I see no more questions. Thank you for addressing the executive committee. I ask you please return to the gallery.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I would like to call upon Delegation Robin Poitras. Please introduce yourself for the record, the organization you're representing, if applicable, and where you live. You'll have 5 minutes to address the executive committee, after which you will have the opportunity to respond to any questions that members may have for you.
Thank you. Your Worship and City Council, I'm very appreciative of this opportunity. It was very short notice for us. We were closed last week and actually just got back to work yesterday at 11, so I was able to get this in. I'm very happy to be here. I was born in Regina, Saskatchewan, and actually I'm a dance artist, a choreographer, multidisciplinary artist, and mostly known as a cultural worker. I co-founded New Dance Horizons in 1986 with Diane Fraser, and have over the last, we're celebrating our 40th anniversary this year, and over the last 40 years we have worked extensively in the community. Some people think of us as a dance studio, which I think may have been the confusion with our application. We are not a dance studio where we teach classes to make a living. We're a cultural arts organization, center and hub. Maybe some similarities to Creative City Center. We do have some classes at the studio, but we mainly exist to create dance and create opportunities, to offer mentorships, creative projects to help develop the art form of dance. We work a lot in health and community. We bought a building in 2004 at 2900 Argyle Street, or pardon me, 2207 Harvey Street, and the building at that time had been a church. We did extensive renovations to turn it into a workable space for both our office and our studio. And since then, we have operated classes, workshops. We work extensively with other cultural organizations, the Science Center, the Mackenzie Art Gallery. We've worked with Open Door. We started the Ice and Fire Carnival. We did 6 editions of that. We led the Lanterns on the Lake for 6 years with the Pelican Project. And that's a project that engages people of all ages, not only in dance, but in creative process, looking at the relationships and connections between art, science, and nature. This past winter, we did a project with the Science Center, who we've worked with for over 20 years. And I think it was one of the most successful. It was a project with the city, looking at star stories. And we created works with an Indigenous storyteller, engaging dance, visual art. We had 500 participants through the building that evening that shared in dance. And many of those young people have come on to join in other processional events that we do. We regularly participate in making opportunity for community to engage in dance through whether it's a parade on Sunday, or was it Saturday, I can't remember now. We performed at the first reggae festival. So wherever we're invited, we engage. The Secret Gardens Tour that we started 26 years ago is primarily a fundraiser for us, but it's also an awareness raiser. We offer free opportunity for community to attend events. This year we performed at a church. We also performed at Grow Regina. When Grow Regina first initiated the idea of Vic Sicansi creating the gazebo there, they invited me to try and animate the space to help the community understand how this could become a cultural space for people to meet. We were very pleased this year to honor Vic in celebrating his work and life for the Secret Garden Tour, and we culminated that with the parade at Grow Regina. So these are very unique events. We're not a dance studio, and I think that's the really main confusion. Since 1986, we have sought to inspire and support a thriving contemporary dance scene in Regina through engaging dance artists and other artists from diverse cultural backgrounds and disciplines. Our board is made up of a very diverse group of people. We have a tiny staff, and as mentioned, the building that we bought in 2004, actually we paid it off in 2011, and the tax exemption would greatly help us to do really vital renovations that are required for us to maintain our presence in that building. Prior to being at that space, we were at Globe Theatre for several years. We were in other small spaces. We would sometimes rent spaces for particular projects. Having established a space of our own has allowed us to grow and to support the community in many ways. So in terms of the direct community, we also work with the University of Regina. We have a Cine Dance International Dance Film Festival that's going to be opening at the Reme, then going to Moose Jaw and ending in Regina. That's coming up in November. We have projects coming up with the Science Center. So essentially, we exist to create, perform, engage community, engage artists, and help to develop an art form that has very little presence, actually, in Saskatchewan and in Western Canada. We hope to see more and more dance make it to national scenes. Is my time up? Sorry. Yes.
Time's up.
Okay.
I thank you for your presentation. Do any members have questions of the delegation? Oh, Councillor Zakidiak?
Thank you. Did you get any clarification from administration? I understand that, like what it says in our report is that you don't meet the definition of unique. Was there any further?
That was it. That was a bit of a stump. That kind of tripped me because I feel that, when we started New Dance in 1986, the goal was not to have another dance studio. I think we've got lots of great dance studios in Regina, and that's wonderful. But what we don't have is a professional presence. For professional theater, we have Globe Theatre. We have the Regina Symphony. New Dance is tiny, but our footprints are massive and covering a lot of space. So I think that we are very unique, and we provide exceptional training and opportunity and access to all ages and all bodies.
Okay. And then, did you then, aside from that feedback, did you get the opportunity to follow up with somebody to ask any questions and get further clarification?
No,
Okay.
I was told that I would be getting a notice to prepare for something in the fall, but unfortunately, I honestly don't feel prepared for today to outline everything, but the big issue for me, or question really, was what is meant by unique?
Sure, yeah. good
It
question.
seemed like a kind of a relevant question, given that we, I got the Order of Canada for the unique work that we do at New Dance Horizons 2 years ago, and unique was at the top of the list for receiving that extraordinary honor. So I'm very proud to live in Regina and to do the work that I do here and we do here. We have a collective of dance artists that are associated with New Dance Horizons. We can't engage them fully. They're all working as independents, but what we do is we're able to supply and provide them with free studio space. So we're really helping an entire dance industry by existing. So.
Okay.
And if we lose our venue, we can't do that.
I guess, yeah, on that note, so if this doesn't get approved, what is at stake for you then?
Well, our operating budget's $300,000. We're paying close to $6,000 in taxes, so it's significant. We do receive operational support from Department of Canadian Heritage, from the City of Regina, and from Sask Arts. And we apply wherever we can and have the capacity to for smaller grants. Last year, we were awarded some support for the Starry Night Celestial Bodies, and that's actually a long-term project. We'll just have to scale back, offer less free opportunities, because those are very costly to us. When we take on the Secret Garden Tour, while it's a fundraiser, we animated 3 free locations, and we had huge public come out to all of these. So we're not just growing culture, we're growing dance. We're also growing culture, and dance is often kind of isolated in a little box. We're really a multidisciplinary organization. We're involved in set design, light design, dance, storytelling, mentorship. We're going to be releasing very soon 3 videos that we've made with support from the Canada Council on storytelling through dance and through different cultural diversity. So we've got Black Story of the Nancy, we've got Indigenous stories. Our co-artistic director is Indigenous. We have 2 Indigenous members on our board. We have a member of the Black community on our board. We work extensively with SACM, with every art gallery pretty much in the city. Theater. We're doing the max of what we can with our capacity. So what will it mean? We'll have to make cuts for sure, and I don't know where that will take place. We're not there yet. We're just setting the budget right now for this, our 40th season.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I see no more questions. Thank you for addressing Executive Committee.
Thank you for your time.
I ask that you please return to the gallery. We also have a communications with respect to this report. EX 25-80. Shelley Sayer, Ranch Airlo Society, Regina, Saskatchewan. Can I have someone move that this communication be received and filed? Councillor Mancinelli. I will call the question. Any opposed? Carried. We will now consider item EX 25-76, Community Nonprofit Tax Exemptions 2026. Can I have CFO and Deputy City Manager Darren Anderson please introduce the report?
Thank you, and through the chair. The Community Nonprofit Tax Exemption Policy was implemented in 2018 and was revised in 2023 to include eligibility for organizations that support the priorities of the Community Safety and Well-Being Plan, and to provide direction on how funding will be distributed if the amount of requested funding exceeds the cap. There were 29 organizations that applied for exemptions under the policy for 2026. Administration is recommending 24 of these organizations be approved. The cap is currently just under $1.7 million in 2026 for municipal tax dollars. Due to increased assessed values on previously approved exemptions, administration is recommending increasing the cap to slightly over $1.9 million. The Regina Public Library has entered into a new lease in 2025. Because this is lease space, they are seeking an abatement of their 2025 taxes for the 8 months in this space. Administration is recommending that City Council approve property tax exemptions under the Community Nonprofit Tax Exemption Policy and abate the 2025 taxes for the Regina Public Library for their new lease on Henderson Drive. Due to increases in property values of longtime recipients, administration is recommending an increase to the cap to maintain the same level of support to the nonprofit organizations who benefit from this policy. We are open to questions.
Can I have someone move this report? Councillor Zakidniak? And would you like to speak to this report?
Yeah, I would. Thank you. So I guess I'll start with addressing some of the concerns brought forward by the delegation. So the first question being maybe just some like explanation about the changes in relation to Circle Project. And I guess my understanding is that the changes is because the daycare tax exemption is ending at the end of this year. So that's why like they did receive this tax exemption in 2025, but won't be eligible in 2026. Is that part of what happened?
Mr. Anderson?
So through the chair, thank you for the question. I'm going to refer this to my colleagues, Ms. Mills and Ms. Hutch, for details around surrounding this.
Ms. Mills? Ms. Mills?
Through the chair, so the child care tax exemption is separate from this policy. And the current exemption was a 3-year exemption that does expire at the end of the year. There is a report on that exemption coming forward later in the year. Just to clarify, when we talk changes to the Circle Project, there has been no changes from the exemption status. Their property on Fifth Avenue is still exempt under the 4-year exemption. They're just requesting that those daycares that are currently receiving the 40% exemption receive a larger exemption under this policy.
Right, okay. And so in terms of the status of those other 2 daycares, under that policy, that will be discussed at a later time, like this year?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so that clarifies that for me. And then the other delegation, New Dance Horizons, I mean, it sounds like looking for clarification about why under the policy they're not considered unique, but like, it sounds like didn't have the opportunity to ask that question outside of council chambers. Like, is there generally the opportunity for applicants to get more information if something is denied from city administration prior to coming to council?
Thank you, through the chair. So all the applicants are reviewed by an adjudication committee through the application process, and they do receive a letter following the committee's decision with what their recommendation is early in the process. I'm not sure what in that letter led the applicant to believe that they couldn't reach out to us for more explanation, because there's definitely opportunity for them to contact us to get that explanation at that time. It does also include the note, as mentioned by the delegate, that this report will be coming forward and they would have opportunity to speak to council.
Okay, as a takeaway, can that be looked into, whether there's additional clarity needed in terms of following up to get more understanding of, from the adjudication committee?
For the chair, through the chair, we can definitely do that,
Okay.
yes.
And then just for clarification now, can you give more information about like, you know, under the policy, not considered unique? Can you just further describe, you know, why for us today?
Yes. Through the chair, I'm going to start, and if my voice gives out on me, I'm going to pass it to Ms. Hutch here. So just for clarification, the policy does include 5 principles that all applicants have to meet. They have to be in compliance with the city's plans and bylaws. They must be a nonprofit organization. They must be in alignment with the city's either cultural, recreation, or community and safety well-being plan. And they must be accessible to the public, and there must be a financial need. So those are the 5 core principles. Where the eligibility usually comes into question is under that 3rd principle of alignment with the city's cultural plans. And in the policy, we define for cultural organizations that they must be a purpose-built, sorry, I'm just looking for the words here, as a cultural, sport, or recreation, arts, or heritage organization in a single facility, delivering a service that is not provided by any other organization in the city, and our purpose-built facility delivering a unique collection of programs that would not be possible in any other space within the city. And the adjudication committee felt that the application for New Dance did not meet that criteria specifically.
Okay. And so what would be the implication then of if we as a council did feel that they were offering some unique offerings? So I'm looking at that piece of the report. I don't know if you have that off the top of your head. Like, how much would that add?
Okay.
The New Dance Horizons current, am I on? The New Dance Horizons levies are $3,610 in municipal a year. So we could certainly, if that was included in stream 3, it would impact the proration for that stream, but it would, it could be achieved for sure.
And so, but like the impact to the proration, the recommended option right now is like
95.07%.
So it would perhaps drop it down to 95 or not even, like just as a ballpark. Like it's a small adjustment.
It would drop it to 91.19%.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm gonna park that for a moment, because I do think that what New Dance Horizons offers is unique, and I do hear the concerns of Circle Project, but I do think we'll have the opportunity to, like, we're gonna be talking about the childcare tax exemption later this year, so I think that's the appropriate place for that conversation.
Mr. Anderson?
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt the counselor.
No?
Just wanted to clarify, sorry, through the chair, that, you know, we aren't assessing whether New Dance Horizons is offering a unique service. The policy states that they need to be in a unique building. So it needs to be a purpose-driven building. Our understanding is that they could hold and provide their service at many buildings in the city. It's not a purpose-built facility. So for qualifying for this particular policy for tax abatement, they would have to show that they were in a purpose-built facility and that they couldn't provide their services in any other facility.
Sorry, that didn't give me more clarity, but I appreciate the trajectory we're now on. So, but it is like their own building specific for New Dance Horizons, like they don't share the building. You're just saying it wasn't purpose-built for everything that they offer?
So through the chair, the way this policy is intended, as it is currently written, my understanding, is that, you know, we provide tax abatements for people who build specific built buildings and they couldn't sell that building and move into a similar one. So we have many dance studios who own their own buildings and are 100% used for dance that also do not qualify under this tax abatement.
Can you, I don't know if you can off the top of your head, give an example of somebody that we provide a tax exemption for that has a building that is purpose-built that like that meets that criteria? Because that, like, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not sure about that interpretation.
I'll pass it off to Ms. Mills.
Ms. Mills?
Thank you, through the chair. So when the policy was developed, there was consideration for properties like the Mackenzie Art Gallery, the Science Center, the RCMP Heritage Museum, where those facilities were built to deliver that service where it's not necessarily like a marketable building.
Okay, so probably what I'm going to have to do with this then is leave it for now because we're going to be finalizing this at City Council next week, and I just want to make sure I fully understand. I'm not trying to, if an exception is going to, you know, open the door for all sorts of issues, like I want to make sure I fully understand something that prior to proposing it. So I guess I have some homework to do this week in that regard. And I also, but what I do want to understand more is, okay, so what's short under the current recommendation is 260,697. And so, you may not be surprised where I'm going with this. It says it'll be accounted for in the 2026 budget. So again, that's sort of mysterious. Can you give me how will it be accounted for in the 2026 budget?
Okay, I just want to remind all members and administration that all questions and comments should be addressed through the chair, so I can acknowledge you before you speak. Okay, so Mr. Anderson?
Thank you, and through the chair. Yeah, so like all council-directed initiatives, once something has been approved by council, it goes into the service level budget. So at every meeting that we have, if council approves any type of policy, bylaw, amendment that increases or decreases costs, administration is then bound to put that forward into the budget to say, though, this is the cost of the service levels that council has approved.
Okay, so so this would be, fine, sure, part of the regular budget process, but would it require, could this be sort of accounted for within the regular budget process without having to be like a mill rate increase or something like that? Or do you not know at this time through the chair?
Okay, Mr. Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you, and through the chair. So if this is approved by council today, we will put it forward as part of the service level budget that will be debated in December. Where funding for this expense comes from will be decided at that time. There is, that's why everything ultimately gets decided at budget time, in that we have to then determine what funding sources we have and what funding sources council is willing to approve to fund all of the service levels that it has also approved previously in any council meeting prior.
Okay.
Councilor, do you have anything further?
I do, yep. So option 3 would reduce the, it would go from 95.07% to 38.27%. That seems like, I'm surprised that option 3, like $260-something thousand, would decrease the percentage that much. So I guess it's accurate, but maybe you can help me understand, because it seemed like there was a lot of applicants to divide that money over. Is it because each one is not asking for very much? Is that where the number increases so much? Through the chair.
Mr. Anderson?
So through the chair, I just wanted to clarify, are you talking about stream 3?
No, option 3, page 4 of the report is essentially like if we didn't increase it by 260,697, it would drop their approval
20 seconds left.
in to 38.27. End of page 4.
Okay, and through the chair, I would pass that to Ms. Hutch for clarification.
Ms. Hutch?
Through the chair, thank you. Yes, it is correct, and the reason for that substantial difference is because streams 1 and 2 will continue to get 100% exemption, and they are the majority of the larger valued properties, and so the ones in stream 3, many of them are a lower valued property, so that would be a significant impact to them.
Okay, how much time?
How much? 27 seconds.
Okay. This has been a problematic thing for us to do every year. There's never enough money in it. I will sort of begrudgingly I'm okay with approving it. I'm concerned about what are the budget implications. I think the amount is minor enough that it's not going to result in a mill rate. So due to knowing that the mill rate increase, due to knowing about the great work these organizations are doing and the confidence that administration can figure out internally how to reallocate this money, I can approve it, but we'll see during the budget if I'm wrong or right. Thanks.
Councillor Turnbull. Councillor Mancinelli.
Thank you. Through the chair, appreciate the report, and more so I appreciate the work behind all the organizations talked about in the report. They do an invaluable service to our community. Always hard to pick winners and losers, and there's never enough money to go around. Staring at that, every year I get the privilege of having multiple organizations send me their year-end statements and a little bit of a report on what they've done and what they accomplish and how much money they take to do that and how they pay it back and where it goes. And I think it's my duty to pay attention and see how charities run and how things work and what the mechanisms there that make a city run. Over the years, I've always took note of Circle Project because of the type of work they do, the budget they work with, and how they step up to their duties, and I've become a fan. So I'm kind of wearing that on my sleeve, asking my questions. I don't want to pick winners and losers. I understand what's happened through the child care changes, but knowing what this organization achieves and the dollars really do take on a ratio to save more down the road. I can wait for the report on childcare to come out, but I just want to know, will that report affect their financial situation they're alluding to today? Are there recommendations to close the gap that's being taken away by that childcare exemption? I just want to have an idea what's coming down the road while they're trying to plan out their financial future and while we're trying to make a decision on this to see where it leads. I'm wondering if there's any tells that administration can share about that upcoming report.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes, through the chair. So in that report, so right now, currently council had approved a tax abatement for daycares that ends in this fiscal year. That report will just be bringing forth that it is ending, and here's the financial cost of that to the city, and then there will be options for council to extend that support going forward. And so as of right now, I wouldn't comments to say whether administration has a recommendation either way. It simply will be a report to say, do you guys want to continue with that tax abatement?
Okay. Just thinking out loud of the meeting we're having today, all the discussions that every time we make a decision, it goes to the mill rate. When that report comes out, it'll say that this program costs the city $693,000 a year to put out. And if you guys want to continue it, that's going to be 0.4% of a mill rate increase in the 2026 tax year is kind of how it's going to lead through. For example, those aren't real numbers, but just to throw something out there.
Through the chair, correct. I would say because it's an existing program, it wouldn't necessarily be an increase in the mill rate for obviously the taxpayers that remain when we're talking about an abatement, but it would have an indicative cost of what it's costing the taxpayers in their mill rate for that abatement.
Okay. In hearing the Circle Project talk about their actual childcare operation and the attributes of it, I'm just wondering through the chair if administration has any comment on if that lines up with childcare duties or if it might be enough of a example to have a reconsideration through just a straight childcare assessment through the chair.
Mr. Anderson.
And through the chair, I would refer that question to Ms. Hutch.
Thank you.
Ms. Hutch.
Through the chair, I apologize. Can you please repeat the question?
When Circle Project was the delegate, they were pointing out the attributes of their child care program. It sounded much described like an early learning program compared to child care. Thinking about how this decision affects based on the attributes of the services provided, I'm wondering if that gave administration any second sight or a reconsideration of that straight child care designation, or is this the type of explanation given from many organizations?
Thank you. Through the chair.
Ms. Hutch. Yeah.
Yes. So they are basically still a child care organization, and other child care organizations also offer some wraparound services. So, but the adjudication committee did evaluate it based on the criteria of being a child care, which is not eligible under the community nonprofit policy.
Thank you for the report, and I appreciate your answers.
Councillor Turnbull.
Hi, under impacts, it doesn't say anything about accessibility, and I know this is facility-based report. When we're selecting these for their consideration, are we looking at the building accessibility, especially as it relates to our community well-being plan when we're considering them?
Oh, Ms. Hutch?
Through the chair, yes, the policy itself, those 5 principles that Ms. Mills had pointed out earlier, principle number 4 is that the property is accessible to the public. So it must demonstrate that the services and programs provided are available to the public, and that efforts are made to remove any economic, physical, cultural, and transportation barriers to participate. So that is a criteria of the policy itself, and they must meet that,
Okay, so
that principle.
to the chair, would that include wheelchair accessible washrooms, making sure that there's accessible to all floors, accessible parking spots, like for physical mobility? Is that included in the like not just being open to everybody, but like having an accessible barrier for space for a facility? Is that looked at?
Ms. Hutch?
Through the chair, we don't actually inspect every property to guarantee those principles are, those specific criteria are met. No.
Do you have some sort of check mark system or something for them to say, yes, this is met?
Ms. Hutch?
Yes, through the application process, they are asked that they align with those principles, so it is on their application.
So just like that general statement? Okay. Can I possibly amend this to put number 8 on it? I just would like to add for next year, I guess, 2026, that the criteria includes accessibility, physical, like wheelchair accessibility, and since that would be for next year, not this year, that could be developed, whether it means like accessible parking or bathrooms or stairs. And I would like to make that a number 8. So I guess that would be an amendment. And that would be for next year, not this year. And yeah. Do I have to move that and speak to it? Okay. Okay. Okay, so now I have a new clock now.
New clock.
Yeah, for my timing. Okay, so just to speak to this point, I don't want to do it for this year because this is always going ahead. But for next year, since this is facility-based, I don't know if it should just include, it should be more than just physical wheelchair, but we can work on that. When we are going through facility spaces, this is a way to incentivize our organizations to become more accessible or do retrofit or go along with our community and well-being. A lot of these community spaces along our city or even events, we'll see the overarching statement and click on it, but it's really more than that. And I think we do need to develop as a city sort of like a checklist of what we need to meet to apply for these grants and events. And I think if we do it for next year, there's opportunity to develop what that system would be, like obviously not right now. And we can work on that wording. So. I think just barrier-free, yeah. Maybe. Correct. To alleviate.
Councillor Turnbull, you good with
just,
that?
No, I think it's to include accessibility as one of the criteria, not to alleviate, but to include accessibility barriers as criteria for the application considerations, and administration can develop whatever. Yeah, it is now, I think. Accessibility and barrier-free. Well, accessibility is fine. I know administration knows what I'm talking about, and they'd be able to work on it. So, like, yeah. And then I guess I would like to ask the administration what they think about this and wording. And
Councillor Zakidniak, as a point of clarification.
I do, yeah. So what I heard Councillor Turnbull mention is not for this year. So this report is for 2026, but I think what I'm hearing from you is that this would be part of the 2027 application considerations, not 2026. Is that accurate?
yes, I think so. I don't want to mess up what's the work that's going on now. So I guess be 27, yeah.
And then I guess just in turn, like another point of clarification from, since the, like just in terms of governance, because we're talking about the 2026 community nonprofit tax exemptions, while I appreciate like the spirit of this conversation, I'm not sure that it's like related to the report, which is for 2026. So I guess I'm looking for a ruling on whether this is unfortunately even considered in order.
Is this administration? I guess I have to decide to make an order here, so I will say that I'll say no to the order right now, and we can do this later. We can discuss it later,
So,
at another time.
So you're indicating that this is not an order.
It's not an order.
and then I can ask for a vote, right?
You can ask to challenge the chair's ruling on it, yes.
Okay. So, I guess, and then would I speak to it if I had to? So I guess then I would challenge the chair's ruling on that, and I would just say that this would be in order because this is about this report and how it comes to us, like, this is exactly what it's about.
Okay, so we'll put it for vote that she's challenging the ruling that
Okay.
this is not an order.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll put this to a vote. Asked.
Is in favor of the chair's ruling. Just ask me to speak so I can spend a minute.
Who do I talk?
Just call on me to speak.
Oh, call on the city clerk?
Through you, Chair, the city solicitor has something to say.
Through the chair, I just wanted to provide some clarification with respect to, I think, the point that Councillor Turnbull's making. Within the policy that is before Council right now to consider, Principle number 4 speaks about the the programs being accessible to the public. Accessibility then is defined in section 3.2 of the policy, and that section of the policy defines accessibility as ensuring that everyone, including people with disabilities, has fair and equitable access to activities, services, products, and environments within Regina. Improving accessibility involves removing barriers to inclusion that can include physical, social, financial, communication, or other factors that can prevent someone or a group of people from being able to access an activity, service, product, or environment. So I think that this is covered in the policy as it's currently written, unless there's other comments that aren't included in that. But I would suggest that this is covered in the policy that's before you.
Thank you. So this, I guess, sounds like this motion is a little bit redundant. Oh, Councillor Turnbull, do you still wish to proceed?
Just to ask administration, would you be all right working with me on this offline for the future?
Pass that perhaps to Ms. Mills or Ms. Hutch. I'm not sure what further needs to be done.
To create some sort of matrix like questionnaire that asks specific questions about.
Ms. Mills? Ms. Mills?
Through the chair, we definitely can work with the counselor on the application form and process.
Okay, perfect. I will remove my amendment and I'll just work on this offline. I'm removing it.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Turnbull. Councillor Turnbull, any further comments on the motion?
Yeah, I guess I just had, with this circle project thing we're talking about a little bit. No, it's okay. I think they've been answered. Okay.
Okay. Does anybody else have questions on the motion? Oh, I see no further questions. Councillor Zakiniak, do you wish to close debate?
I do. Yeah, so I just wanted to, both Councillor Mancinelli and I noted that like there's never enough money in this pot, right? And so that may always be the case. My question though is, there have been some changes made, some driven by administration, some by council to this policy. What I want to know from administration is, do they think that with the current recommendations provided in this report, we're on the right track, or are there other changes that are needed to this policy, in their opinion, through the chair?
Mr. Anderson?
Through the chair, so thanks for the question. We do have a regular review, and we did just review this in 2023. So there's nothing at this time that we would say would need it to be adjusted. We're just adjusting for the change in assessed values at this time, and then we would have a regular review of this policy that would come back at an appropriate time.
And does that review then comes to council with any suggested changes?
That is correct, through the chair.
And so it was in 2023. When would the next one be?
I'll pass that off to Ms. Hutch.
Ms. Hutch?
Through the chair, the next date of next review is scheduled for 2027.
Okay. And I guess my next question though is, the recommendation is that the cap increases every year at a rate equivalent to the previous year's mill rate increase. Is that going to be prior to 2027? Is there going to be a policy in relation to how to fund that, or will that just be sorted out each budget cycle independently?
Mr. Anderson?
Through the chair, so yes, ultimately that's approved at budget, but it's similar to if the cost of asphalt goes up, right? We need to say, okay, it's going to cost more to pave or repair roads. We're just applying that same principle to this to say, you know, we have organizations that have been given a 4-year exemption, and if the mill rate goes up, then if without having this clause, you would just be taking away from stream 3.
Yeah.
right? You wouldn't be applying that same concept to say, well, as inflation happens, this policy wouldn't move with it. We're just saying for ease of operations, we want this to move with the mill rate so that we're not constantly back here saying, well, somebody who got X dollars last year now only receives Y because the mill rate went up.
Yeah, okay, I understand the rationale. I guess we'll have to see like how this, because this is the first year we're doing this, right? So I think we'll have to see like, what does this look like during the budget process? Because I haven't seen it before in relation to this policy. Certainly understand the rationale though. Thank you.
Where am I here? Where is he? Call the vote. Ask the clerk to call the vote. Okay, so where are we now?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, the motion is carried unanimously with all members present voting in favor.
We will now consider item EX 25-77, Municipal and School Board Election Expense Sharing Agreement. Can I have the acting city clerk, Amber Ackerman, please introduce the report?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, the Local Government Election Act provides that a council and board may enter into any arrangements with respect to the sharing of costs and the provision of services and facilities necessary for the holding of an election. Since 1985, the City of Regina, the Regina Public School Board, and the Regina Roman Catholic Separate School Board have maintained an agreement that formally outlines the allocation of election-related expenses. The current agreement is set to expire on December 31st of 2025. The purpose of this report is to seek council approval to enter into a renewed agreement which will continue to govern the cost-sharing arrangements for all municipal and school board elections, including general elections, by-elections, recounts, and votes on bylaws, resolutions, or questions held under the Cities Act or the Education Act from January 1st, 2026 through to December 31st of 2033.
Can I have someone move this report? Councillor Mancinelli? Would you wish to speak?
I'll wait to see if anyone has questions first.
Okay. Any questions from the members on the report? Councillor Seeklees?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Curious what the dollar value is of the election piece and why quarterly instead of annually if it's not a big amount?
City Clerk?
Through you, Chair, it's done quarterly just to assist with the school boards in the city, just to manage the budgets throughout the year. And it's just a small amount just based on our leasing costs that they are for the year and what our annual software costs are for the year.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Councillor Mancinelli, do you wish to close?
I guess I should say something. It looks like a going forward of an agreement that's been going on for some time, and I don't think the city would want to bear these costs alone. There's always strength in numbers, so it makes good sense, and let's vote on it.
Thank you. I guess I will ask the clerk to start the vote. What's that? Okay. You'd like to close debate?
Yeah, I closed debate there. That was
Okay.
my debate close.
Okay, I'll ask the clerk to start the vote. Councillor Fro? Can you say it on the mic, please?
In favor.
Thank you.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, the motion is carried unanimously with all members present voting in favor.
Okay. We will now consider item EX 25-79, Fire Master Plan Update. Can I have Deputy City Manager Curtis Doney please introduce the report? Oh. Okay. Point of clarification, Councillor Zakiniak?
Yeah, well, so just wondering, are we then going back to the fire service agreements? Because that's not in my printed agenda, but it's on digital boardroom. So I don't know if we skipped it and we're going back. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, City Clerk, please speak to this.
Through you, Chair. Yeah, at the call of the Chair, the order of the agenda changed. So we will be considering the Fire
I see
Master
it on
Plan
there now.
first and then the servicing agreements next.
I'm good with that. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't an error.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So, where do I go here? Can I have someone move this report? Councillor Turnbull, do you wish to speak to it? Okay, thank you. We'll just ask administration to introduce the report. Mr. Doney?
Through the chair, thank you very much. So on November of 2021, City Council received and filed the Fire Master Plan report. The report stated that administration would provide a report to City Council on the implementation of the Fire Master Plan. The Fire Master Plan is a 25-year strategic roadmap designed to guide the evolution of Regina Fire and Protective Services in alignment with the City of Regina's growth, community needs, and strategic priorities. The Fire Master Plan report provides updates on 8 recommendations, including regionalization and partnerships, department communications, diversity and inclusion, training, workforce development, succession planning, technology and innovation, service level enhancements, including new stations, safety and emergency preparedness. Joining us today is Fire Chief Lane Jackson and Deputy Chief Gord Hewitt, and we are available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. We now need to take our mandatory 15-minute recess. Calling meeting to order. Councillor Turnbull, do you have any questions?
Aren't they going to present?
Yeah. Admin already did their report.
Wait till the end.
All right, thank you. If there are no, oh. So, Councillor Zakiniak?
Thank you. Yeah, I do have some questions. I want to highlight one piece of the report first that I think is a great news story. Our fire department is one of only 7 Canadian departments to achieve accreditation status. I'll see if I can read my writing now. From the Commission on Fire Accreditation International. Is that right? And so congratulations. That's very impressive. Can you tell us more about that?
Chief
Jackson.
Chief Wayne Jackson, sorry.
Thank you, and through you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you for the question. Something that we're always proud to talk about is our international accreditation. As you said, Councillor, one of 7 in Canada in the company of cities and like the cities of Calgary, Toronto, Ottawa, Vancouver. So in good company there, and 300 internationally, so including down into the United States. So really the accreditation is a data-driven process. It forces us to collect our data, analyze our data, and look at our performance at all times. And it's a continuous improvement process also that evaluates us on over 250 key performance indicators that are industry specific, but also broad, also in our business lines too. So something that is always driving us forward, making us innovative and looking for efficiencies at all times.
That's excellent. Thank you. I also was looking for a bit more explanation. I remember chatting about this in the past, but about the overdose outreach team. And so I understand, so this is a pilot with the Saskatchewan Health Authority. It's been renewed for a longer period. And it well, first of all, so my understanding is you're seeing positive results. So maybe we can start with that, and then I'll have a follow-up question through the chair.
Chief Wayne Jackson?
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor. Great question. I have with me here Deputy Chief Gord Hewitt. He was instrumental in establishing our OOT team, we call them, the overdose outreach team, and they're really focused on prevention within the community and preventing overdoses. And I'll just turn it over to him to just talk a little bit more about your questions and that the important work that team does. They've done a lot of connecting folks to services and success in that realm.
Deputy Chief Gord Hewitt?
Thank you, through the chair. Yeah, so the overdose outreach team has been in place. It's essentially been a pilot program, a partnership with the Saskatchewan Health Authority, so a mental health and addictions counselor working with a firefighter paramedic under the umbrella of the Ministry of Health, and they've been working for about 2.5 years. A lot of the program, obviously, we're no strangers to seeing overdoses in the community, was a response to that and preventing further overdoses. They've done a lot of work with community-based organizations. To date, they've had over 600 connections with community members, and their primary focus is connecting people to care and preventing any future overdoses from occurring. So we've seen great success from the program. It'll come up for review again at the end of March in 2026, and we believe in the program, great success, and we're hopeful that it'll be renewed for a longer period of time.
Great. Now, I was surprised to read that the fire department is apparently currently only active on X, like formerly Twitter. But I also read that you're exploring other social media platforms. Do you know what's the timeline for that?
Chief Lane Jackson.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Good question. We're right now in discussions with our communications department, so we take our lead through them. Currently, we're on X. We do have a strong desire to expand to the other social media networks, in particular Instagram and Facebook. We see many other departments, fire departments across Canada, even in Saskatchewan, on those and getting some good returns in that investment when they're on those platforms. I can also ask our Deputy City Manager, Jennifer Johnson, maybe to weigh in on that.
Ms. Johnson?
Chair, thank you through the chair. Our digital team has done a social media audit and has reviewed all of the social media platforms and channels for the city, for tourism, and for fire, and has provided some recommendations on those. As mentioned, currently fire is only on X, and what we are looking at doing is integrating some of the more perhaps promotional or informational posts for fire into some of the city's social channels. We already have well-established followings, a lot of people and a large audience on those platforms, and so we'll be looking to integrate into those in some cases. As well, Instagram and Facebook and X all have slightly different audiences, slightly different markets, and so what we're doing is trying to review all of those and tailor our posts accordingly so that we're hitting the right audiences with the right messages, depending on if it's promotional or informational or what would be best used there. So we're currently and always reviewing those.
Okay, great.
Councillor Zakidniak?
Thank you. I guess, so the financing for the 2026 fire services will be included as part of the 2026 budget. So what I'm curious about is with our new budget process, will whatever the budget request from fire, I think this is probably like perhaps a Mr. Nickel question, will fire be like separated as, like, how will this work with our sort of preliminary budget meetings? How will we see the details of the request specific to the fire department?
Mr. Doney?
Through the chair, so on Tuesday of next week, you'll see the public-facing services, and that will include fire, and it will be separated out for the fire department. So we'll have an opportunity to have a full conversation about any budget requests in 2026.
Okay, great. And then perhaps my last question, I think another potentially good news story. There's a chart that talks about incident response from 2020 to 2024, and 2024 is lower, like significantly lower, it seems, than 2023. And like, so I'm just looking for some further information about that. Has that trend continued? What are you seeing in the trends for calls for service?
Chief Lane Jackson?
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor. So we attached to our update is fire by the numbers. That's that data side that we're highly focused on, and I draw your attention to that second page that kind of shows a 5-year trajectory of our emergency response. And indeed, Councillor, you are correct that there is a leveling or a plateau and a slight decrease in 2024, which is encouraging. So it can go back to some of that prevention work that we, you know, if you take a look at our total stats, we pride ourselves on those proactive services within the community, which is a ton of work that we do, thousands and thousands of initiatives and calls that we do to the service in the prevention side and proactive side. So that is encouraging. The numbers are just 5 years, so what we've seen, and I'll give you a little bit of history, is what we've seen pre-COVID was we were in and around the 5,000 emergency responses, and we've seen a big spike and a trajectory up, and it's kind of plateauing now. So we'd like to see it keep decreasing, and we're focused on that work, but it's still a bit concerning because we pretty much went up 50% and we're hanging around that number since pre-COVID. So.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for all your work.
Okay. Councillor Burton?
Thank you. Through the chair. when I was reviewing the fire master plan in 2021, just the the Narcan, the revivals, the drug abuse and stuff just wasn't really on the radar, it seems, and things, as you mentioned, just have grown exponentially. I was just wondering about the impact on the fire department, and in particular, a lot of the actual members of the fire department, of this on their health and mental well-being and all those impacts. And I was just wondering about, as you're looking at the plan and saying what can we do in the future to improve things and to be more effective, how's that had an impact on you, and what things can you do to improve it?
Chief Lane Jackson.
Yes, and through you, Deputy Mayor. Another great question. We've seen PTSD as really the stigma around it in the last several years has gone away, and we're seeing more and more first responders coming out with these type of conditions and talking a lot more about them, and we're seeing the cases come across our desks a lot more. So we've done a lot of work in that, and it falls underneath in the fire master plan, the safety section. It's a high focus, that recommendation on safety, on employee safety too. Deputy Chief Hewitt's done a lot of work with our wellness committee within the department and our critical incident stress management team. We have just want to talk about them a little bit. We have a critical incident stress management team, and they do phenomenal work. It's peer-based work, and they do initial debriefings with staff when they go out, and they encounter traumatic calls. But I'll maybe let Deputy Chief talk a little bit more about it.
Deputy Chief Gord Hewitt.
Thank you, through the chair. Yeah, just to add to the chief's comments, we do have a robust critical incident stress management team, 16 firefighters trained in peer support. So that's a key element. Also the formation, obviously we have a robust OH&S committee, but the formation of our health and wellness committee, where we've really spent the last 2 years coming up with different programming. We've been trialing some programming to make improvements in that area from a resiliency point of view. And so I think that's something that's at top of mind for us all the time. We continue to work on and develop programs to support that. With a lot of strong work from our firefighters that are actually in the training and part of the critical incident programs.
Thank you. Through the chair, I noticed in the fire plan that there are problems attracting people to join volunteer fire departments that are outside the city. And so with that sector facing recruitment or retention challenges, this could mean more work on the city fire department with our agreements and stuff. I was wondering if you could speak to that and your plan and how that is coming together to address it properly and make sure we maintain are able to manage the needs of a city as well as support our neighboring communities.
Chief Lane Jackson.
Thank you, and through you, Deputy Mayor. A little bit of foreshadowing on our next report that's coming forward. We have a great regional footprint with our department within our surrounding area, and we collaborate very well with the surrounding fire departments. And what you're talking about there is mutual aid agreements. So what we have in place with our surrounding volunteer fire departments are mutual aid agreements, and we'll talk more about it in the next report. But we have mutual aid agreements with Pilot Butte, White City, Emerald Park, Grand Coulee, and we do a lot of in-between work with them and communications to make sure that we're maintaining good relationships with them, and we're there if they need us. And they know, and those agreements have protocols in place to call us and what our response will look like. So we take it very seriously, and we value our relationships with those departments within the region.
So, but through the chair, the ability for those volunteer fire departments to attract members, is it a significant problem that then is putting more demands on the city fire department?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, there is on an industry, a large, broad industry aspect, there are volunteer departments, and the volunteer sector is having recruitment, retention challenges from time to time. What our departments surrounding us are actually experiencing, we would need to take that away and do a little bit of further conversation with them. What you will typically see in a large metro area, like Regina is a metro, is those surrounding departments have a little better ability to recruit because they're part of this metro side where there's a big department that's working with them, and that potential volunteer firefighters can get into the career department. So but as a sector as a whole, when I'm at the Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs or at the Saskatchewan Association of Fire Chiefs, it is a problem for the volunteer sector, just like any other volunteer sectors in recruiting and retaining volunteers.
Okay. And so then just the last question here at this point is, in the master plan, has the number of calls or nature of calls from outside the city been in alignment with the plan that was set in 2021? Has there adjustments being required or other activity to deal with the various changes in, community size outside Regina and the number of calls?
Chief Lane Jackson.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So we're always monitoring our stats, and we're data driven. So we are seeing steady increases in our calls in the region too. So as I talked about, within the city, we've seen a pretty dramatic post-COVID increase, and we also see some increases in the region. So the overall demand on the department is always increasing in call volume and services required.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Fro.
Thank you through the chair. Thanks, Lane, and through you to your 300 officers, and thanks for your work and all those 14,000 service requests. Just a couple of brief questions today. Some of my councillors touched on it. You certainly provided a breakdown of your calls, structural versus non-structural fires and rescues. My question, and you and I have connected with this on the past, is how we account for that from a financial perspective. And I'll go to this with some of the information you provided in Appendix B. So to the extent that you can, and if you can't, offline is just fine. I am interested if we have some general, understanding of what is the value of your staff's time in terms of responding to health or overdose or individuals in our community in crisis, vis-a-vis what might have been pre-COVID a more sort of traditional role for a firefighter, structural, non-structural fires, EMS support, that type of thing. So I'm curious if we've been able to put a dollar amount on that, and you'll see where I'm going with this in a second.
Chief Lane Jackson.
Interesting question, and through you, Deputy Mayor. So the fire department, Regina Fire and Protective Services, is an all hazardous response agency. So we do, our core is firefighting and fighting fires, but we do so much more, and 50% of our calls are not fires, as you highlighted. So, and what we see is we have some of the most diverse, well-trained responders within the community. So all our firefighters start in our department as paramedics also. It's a requisite. So for our own safety, for our own firefighter safety and the community's safety, we've done emergency medical services for forever, for 100 years. So it's what we view it as when you talk about the value, we view it as added value to the community. So by us being able to provide those services with those well-trained responders, it provides added value to the community. The actual dollar amount, that starts to get a little bit more difficult to split out because we do have these firefighters readily available to respond to all hazards, all emergencies, fires. So I'm not sure if that answered your question or if it.
No, I think in part, and we can take it offline. I think through the chair, thank goodness that we have your team doing that. And certainly, I think you've articulated that is a role that your team's proud to provide. I think where the question was going, when we talk about policing and fire, certainly the role of those jobs has been changing. And I guess, my next question would be, building on Councillor Zakidniak's and Burton's question, given where we've come since COVID, is it sustainable? Like, is your force able to keep up? You mentioned you're hoping that those numbers drop a little bit, but if it doesn't, do we need to reevaluate some of our partnerships and some of the sort of structure of how you're funded?
Chief Lane Jackson.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So we're always looking at our partnerships, where we can have efficiencies. I'll highlight one example of that is needle pickups. So in this community and many other communities have started to follow suit. We have some good partnerships with the Street Project and other needle exchanges where we backstop them during off hours and after hours and weekends and evenings. But they're the primary responders who can do it much more at a much more reasonable cost than a pumper apparatus with 4 firefighters going out to pick up a needle, which can be a public safety issue for sure. But when we partner with that, there's efficiencies. And what it also does is keep our trucks, our firefighters in a position to respond to more serious emergencies.
Okay, thank you. Last question through the chair. Grateful again, Lane, for the work your team does to keep us safe. Some of that work, some of that harm reduction work, that really important work, we deal with the symptom of a problem, right? We deal with the smoke maybe as opposed to the fire. And so in Appendix B, under your partnerships, you speak about an agreement with the Saskatchewan Health Authority that's being negotiated to enhance your role as it relates to the delivery of emergency care. And I wonder if you can speak to the funding of that. And so sometimes we talk here about upstream versus downstream, as in, what policy tools or financial tools does a level of government have to address the issue? And we talk about how we deal with the symptoms of the issue, such as someone overdosing, right, or someone that's in crisis being arrested. And so I wonder if you can speak to that to me, and with a specific emphasis on, do we see the SHA providing you funding? And more broadly, when you look at your colleagues across Canada, do you see any agreements or partnerships whereby other levels of government are addressing some of those costs, some of those very costs connected to harm reduction, where we're addressing a symptom of a broader societal problem that we see across the province?
Oh, sorry there. Chief Lane Jackson.
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor. Great question. The SHA does fund our overdose outreach team. The current agreement on our tiered emergency medical response agreement, we're in discussions, and funding is a part of the equation, at least for equipment, medical supplies, etc. Deputy Chief Hewitt, sitting to my left here, is quite instrumental in working with the Saskatchewan Health Authority on these, and I'll ask him just to talk a little bit more too about your questions.
Deputy Chief Gord Hewitt.
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor. As the Chief mentioned, the overdose outreach team is funded. We've been working hard, working with the Saskatchewan Health Authority over the last year and a little bit on that agreement, and funding is a topic of conversation that exists in those meetings. And so we're always looking at ways that we can enhance our value in the community and enhance our service. The Chief talked extensively about partnerships. We talk about that all the time, but those conversations and that mutual aid agreement with the Saskatchewan Health Authority are actually at the table being discussed right now.
Yeah, thank you. Just through the chair, does that include offsetting the labor costs, or is it just predominantly equipment?
Chief Lane Jackson.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So the discussions aren't bound at all. Like, our first and foremost priority would be that equipment and supplies, but there has been some discussion too about costs. So, for example, the overdose outreach team does fund the cost of the labor.
Okay, great. No, thank you through the chair. Grateful to the SHA and to your team for the work. That's all the questions I have. Thanks, guys.
I should, so we have had partnerships with them also. So when we've done some vaccination clinics, when we were with COVID, you would have seen us at the old Costco helping SHA. That was all, we were at Parkside during that all covered labor costs too for us, and at an increased rate also. So the SHA has covered our labor costs during different incidents. So.
Thank you. I have a question. Just wondering, like in terms of all the rural municipalities, wondering who negotiates I guess we have different contracts with all different rural municipalities. Who negotiates the contracts? Is it the city or is it the fire department? Oh, Mr. Doney?
Through the chair, well, we can talk about this more in the next report because that's exactly what the report is. Okay. However, in general, the fire department leads the negotiations with the agency, whether it's a municipality, and then what we're asking for in the next report is to delegate that authority to the city manager to enter into that contract.
Okay. Oh, so moving forward, we're talking about the city manager negotiating those contracts? Oh, okay, on the next report. All right, thank you. Do you wish to close debate, Councillor Turnbull?
I'm okay.
Okay. Okay, I will ask the clerk to start the vote.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, the motion is carried unanimously.
Communication related to EX 25-78. We have a communication with respect to this report. EX 25-81, Jenna Schroeder, Provincial Capital Commission, Regina, Saskatchewan. Can I have someone move that this communication be received and filed? Councillor Flores. I will call the question. Any opposed? Carried. Carried. We will now consider item EX 25-78, fire service agreements. Can I have Deputy City Manager Curtis Doney please introduce the report?
Through the chair. So Regina Fire and Protective Services has 15 agreements with neighboring municipalities and agencies, and discussions are ongoing to add 2 more with existing partners. Administration is recommending to delegate the authority for negotiating and approving these agreements to increase the overall efficiency for administration and council. These agreements align with Regina Fire and Protective Service Fire Master Plan that we just discussed, the Fire Safety Act under defined local authority jurisdiction, and the agreements will also align with the department's accreditation process that we just talked about, and with Regina Fire Bylaw. With us today is Chief Lane Jackson and Deputy Chief Gord Hewitt. We can answer any questions you have about the report.
Can I have someone move this report? Councillor Mancinelli, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, actually, I really appreciate seeing the different agreements with the different entities that surround our city and the cooperation. I do notice that we're out of phase with the Arm of Sherwood. Looks like a little bit of trouble on that file. How long has that not been signed? It looks like it's set to be canceled at the end of the year. What are the repercussions from that? And how much of your time's been eaten up trying to negotiate on a fire agreement when you look at some of the fires we saved them from recently? Like, it seems kind of weird that we're having to go back and forth on something like that, or is that clearing up now? Through the chair.
Chief Lane Jackson.
Okay, through you, Deputy Mayor. A lot of questions there. If I miss one, we'll come back to it. You make sure to bring me back to it. So this agreement, we did receive delegated authority for this agreement. to negotiate and approved. The city manager has those authorities from council last August, so about a year ago. We spent, right after that was given from city council, we spent the latter part of the fourth quarter, the third and fourth quarters, negotiating with the RM. Had several different options provided. Unfortunately, we were unable to move forward to complete an agreement with them, and they wanted some time to explore options on their side. So that's currently where the status was. Council did delegate that authority to, if we weren't able to reach agreement, to serve termination notice, which happened at the end of last year, and the agreement is set to expire beginning of January 2026. Recently had some contact with the RM and some verbal discussions just recently. So, and they are doing a bit of a study, which they've reached out and want their consultants to have some conversations with us. So I'm trying to remember all your questions now. How much time is spent? It's quite a bit of time. So this agreement is it goes back to the last time it was revised is early 2000, and even when it was revised then was just a more minor administration revisions. So I think it goes even further back to 1985, I believe. So it's a outdated agreement, and it is in need of being updated and being modernized. So it high need there from my perspective.
If this agreement allows to go to termination with the RM, and say another fire pops up at Inland Metals like happened last summer, how do things happen then? Would that just burn till it burns on the back doors of Regina? Or, you know, like what happens when an agreement's terminated like that?
Oh, sorry, Chief Lane Jackson.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, those are some of the most recent conversations, because we're getting close to it expiring, that we've had with the RM. So they basically are their own jurisdiction. There is an ability for them to request assistance, and we can provide assistance still under our bylaw. So there is that, but there's no binding for that. So, and that's part of where some of the questions that we had previous about the capacity of the department. We're seeing the department is running very lean. Like we're a lean operation, so we're seeing our resources, being maxed quite regularly. So it could pose some concerns for that RM. And at the end of the day, they are their own jurisdiction and responsible for their own ratepayers and residents.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I just got a couple of my own comments to make. Apparently it must be evident this kind of doesn't sit well with me. The way Regina is organized is we operate as a little bit of a regional hub for a little bit of this area on different things such as this. Another one would be Economic Development Regina. They're kind of charged to find industry that's interested in locating in our area and providing jobs and commerce for our area. The RM of Sherwood has a lot of industrial lands that would fit the commerce and jobs, manufacturing. They got a new water supply. They got all kinds of assets ready to go there. We send out EDR with our taxpayer money paying for it. They go with the province to go on these trade ventures. They try to get people interested back. And I can't imagine coming back to make an investment that would equate millions of dollars into an area that doesn't even have a fire servicing agreement that's been organized and this type of thing going on. So when I get worked up about this, it's because it's not just the fire services, it's the organization of our region, our ability to track investment, our ability to look professional on a world basis when we're trying to go through these hard times, find jobs, find industry. And we're stuck with some of our best, most qualified, seasoned managers engaged in negotiations over something that we've had our head around for quite a while now, like fire. That doesn't seem like good regional planning. That doesn't seem like good regional outcomes. To spend a lot of money trying to find opportunity and have these kind of problems crop up that would stand in the way of the opportunity for an investment is silly to me. So I just wanted to draw attention to it. I appreciate the work on the fire agreements. I like all the mutual agreements between us and many of our neighbors. I know the cooperative work that goes on. I've seen it in action many times. But I just know that this is a real problem too, and it kicks us in the butt every time we turn around, and it's showing up on fire now. So I just wanted to bring attention to it. I think we can do a lot better as a region, and I wanted to point that out. So all I had to say, my bit here.
Councillor Zakiniak?
Thank you. So I have some questions as well. So in the report, it talks about, on page 3, option 1, council can request to receive an annual summary report of all agreements entered under this authority, which can be included in the already mandated update to council. So I would like to request that, which is under the recommended option 1. Like, what do I need to do to make that request? Just, is it made? Or is there something further required from me through the chair?
Mr. Doney?
Through the chair, from our perspective, nothing further is needed. We'll continue to bring the fire master plan forward, and we'll just include any agreements that we enter into.
Great, thanks. Now, in terms of the recommendation, which is to delegate authority to the city manager, just to make sure I understand the change from what currently happens. So currently, any changes to fire service agreements needs to come to council. Is that the change? Like, the city manager still leads that process, but the change that you're requesting is that it would no longer need to come to council. Is that accurate?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay. What do other cities do in this regard? Like, would this put us more in line with other municipalities, or is this a Regina-made recommendation?
Okay, Mr. Doney?
Through the chair, I'll start and ask Mr. Jackson to give some more details. So when this came forward, our thought process was we've got a lot of agreements that have not been maintained and are outstanding, and so there's 15, potentially 17. And so we really brought that forward from a administration and a council effectiveness and be more efficient to not have 17 reports land in front of council. I don't know if we've got details of other cities of how they manage it and if they have that many agreements, but I'll ask Lane Jackson to provide any details he has.
Chief Lane Jackson?
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor. Mr. Doney's correct. It's kind of varied. Our department has a lot of agreements just because we're the big department in the region. So a lot of mutual aid agreements, fire protection agreements. So it does vary from fire department to fire department. You get into smaller fire departments, council's approving most of the agreements, right? And some of the bigger departments where they're like us, where they have many agreements, you can see it delegated. So it's whatever council's preference would be.
Okay. So, I mean, I recall when the termination for Sherwood came to council, I don't actually recall another fire agreement, like, since I've been on council starting in 2020. So is this, I understand that there's like 15 or 17 total, but like, do they actually, even if we change nothing, how often do these things actually generally come to council?
Chief Lane Jackson?
Good question through you, Deputy Mayor. So there has been, the other thing is when you take a look at our appendix, the list of agreements, we have some recommendations through our accreditation. It's both through the accreditation and the master plan to update our agreements. So many of the agreements you'll see do not have terms to them or renewal clauses. That's a big item there that we need to move forward with, having these agreements have renewal clauses or terms to them so that they can be upgraded and updated accordingly. So we do have quite a few of the 15 are outdated agreements, and a recommendation has come from our continuous improvement and quality assurance program, the accreditation, to update those agreements, and the master plan talks about it too. So you could see, in the past, you may have not seen that many, but we're planning
I understand.
to bring more in. And there's a couple new ones. One of the delegation is speaking to a new agreement. We've always provided services in the Provincial Capital Commission. It just wasn't a formal agreement. So you will likely see more agreements coming. So we're in discussions with Mr. Doney. We were going to try to get ahead of that instead of bringing repeat reports to council. That could be frustrating in the future because these are more low-risk, routine-type agreements. We wanted to explore this with you.
And then would this also apply to, like, so we, this would apply to the fire services agreements. So does that also encompass the mutual aid agreements and the secondary response agreements? Is like, it's for all of them. Is that accurate?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Oops, sorry. Through you, Deputy Mayor. That is correct. And it would also include Saskatchewan Health Authority agreements and some of those other ones that aren't just a fire service agreement in the region. They're also with some of our partners.
Great. Okay, final question, I believe through the chair, is like, do you see any risk to, like, does anyone, including city solicitor, have any like identified potential risk to council to delegate this authority to the city manager? I just want to understand, like, I understand the rationale. Is there a risk that we should be aware of in making this decision through the chair?
Chief Lane Jackson.
So through you, Deputy Mayor, I can start, and then it'll likely give our city solicitor some time and city manager and deputy city manager time if they want to weigh in. But one of the things that we looked at was the transparency. We want to make sure council it's transparent, council is aware, council is ultimately approving, because we're all responsible to you. So that transparency side, so that's when we put that clause in there that we would do an annual update as part of the master plan to make sure that we're being open, communicating with council and mayor, and you understand what we're doing. So it's that was one. So we tried to address it. I'm not sure if our risk from legal has any.
Mr. Doney?
I'll give you another perspective, and then let's just ask City Solicitor to weigh in if she has anything else to add. From my perspective, we're actually trying to reduce the risk to council a little bit. We don't want council to be in a position where you may think or feel like you have to negotiate on the floor of council and not know the full implications of that. And so that's another reason why we think delegating it to city manager actually reduces that risk. And I'll just ask Ms. Williams if she has anything else to add.
Ms. Williams?
Thank you, through the chair. This wouldn't be really any different than any other time that council delegates the authority to admin. Maybe reputational if another municipality potentially is a fence that council is not involved, I suppose, but I mean, I think that would be a rare occurrence. So it's really no different than any other opportunity that council has to delegate the authority to admin. And again, as both Chief Jackson and Mr. Doney raised, there will be an annual report that will come forward to council, so council will be kept apprised of these types of agreements that are made.
Sorry, I missed what you said would be a rare occurrence.
Oh, just that if there was, I would say it's not a legal risk, but reputational. If a municipality thought council was going to be involved and have sort of that oversight, they may be disappointed that council's not involved at that level, but I would say that's not a legal risk, that's more, potentially that reputational risk.
Okay, I appreciate all those answers and just wanted more information before supporting the recommendation, but like with all that information, I'm happy to support it. Thank you.
Councillor Burton?
Thank you, through the chair. As we, you're doing your work, and it sounds like you're really good collegiality and teamwork with various municipalities around Regina, and you're doing, that priority saving lives first and property second, and doing a really good job here. But as we've been entering some of these negotiations, have there been some negotiations that have been rather long, difficult, dragged out?
Chief Lane Jackson.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, that question I would say is kind of opinion-based. Negotiations, in essence, can be like that when you're negotiating with other parties, because you have to have to go through that process, and you have different interests and different needs at times. So I would say that some move quicker than others because they're less complex, and some have been slower than others. So they're a little bit more complicated and more nuances to them.
Okay. Are we recovering our costs reasonably, not have to right to the penny, sorry, through the chair?
Yeah.
Are we recovering our costs reasonably from these agreements with the various municipalities? And if not, which ones are we struggling with that cost recovery?
Chief Lane Jackson?
I would say, through you, Deputy Mayor, cost recovery and adequate funding is definitely one of the areas that we need to update these agreements on. So some of them are older. So and some of them, so they're different types of agreements. There's a fire services agreement where we are in essence their fire department for that jurisdiction. There's no other department. And then there's mutual aid agreements where there is a volunteer department, and their fire department will backstop them and help them if they need it. So the funding is different for those. So we're finding that some of the funding with the fire services agreement where their fire department is in need of updating because it's not adequate. It's doesn't it's just much fee for service, and it's an older fee, and it doesn't include some of the capital investments and those other things involved with the fire department.
And you know, particularly with the RMA Sherwood, would you say how much money have we recovered at all, or are we losing money with the RMA Sherwood?
I would say that the RMA Sherwood, through you, Deputy Mayor, I'm sorry, it's all good. I would say the RMA Sherwood's agreement, the funding model is inadequate.
It is. And through the chair, have they been dragging out the negotiations because they're aware that there's a benefit to them by not renegotiating quickly and signing?
Chief Lane Jackson? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Doney?
I would just, through the chair, just highlight that the negotiations have been going on for longer than what we would like, and that's one reason why council delegated the authority to admin and that we terminated or had the approval to terminate the contract, and so it will be terminated in January of 2026 if we don't reach an agreement, because we know that the cost recovery is not there, and we know what the value is of the fire department.
Okay. So thank you. Through the chair, actually, that's where I'm going with this is as we enter a new agreement, if we're able to reach one with them, do we just simply, is it water under the bridge that they've been able to receive subsidized services for quite a significant period of time? Or do we just say, okay, we're moving on and we're signing and we're going to carry on with that? And that's where I guess my concerns would be that as council that, you know, everybody here is trying to do the best with that, but at the same time, we are under pressure from our constituents to provide value for that dollar. And we need to know, ensure that we're meeting that when we have some of these agreements signed. And if historically there's been some problems, you know, we have the letter of the contract, and then there's the spirit of the contract. And if some organizations are kind of avoiding that, that's a problem.
Mr. Doney?
Through the chair, you know, we hear you loud and clear, Councillor, and that's one of the main reasons why we're looking to renew all these contracts, because many of them do not meet the parameters that we've outlined in this report, which is financial parameters to have full cost recovery of service. So that's the objective, and I would say that we generally won't enter into contracts going forward unless we have the full cost of service outlined in those contracts. But we're not really looking to look backwards either, so we're looking to move forward in any future service agreements that we sign.
Thank you. I am very much comfortable with delegating that authority to the acting city manager and city manager in future. But you know, please be cognizant of council concerns. I encourage the acting city manager to be the two-fisted, cutthroat executive he can be, and negotiate a proper agreement that meets the needs of the cities of Regina here for that. I encourage residents of the RMs around Regina to encourage their councils to reach that agreement with the city of Regina. Please, it's your buildings, your lives. I don't want to be out there bringing the marshmallows rather than the fire trucks to your fire here for that. And to council, Message to them, I can understand how some people outside the city receive subsidized fire coverage for years who would be upset if we made them pay more than their fair share for use of our pools. And, we need to start as a region, it's talked about previously, whether it's the Prince of Wales to Highway 46, that now it's inside the city and we're spending on it. Fire, we're spending on it. The pools, we're spending on it. I'd like to see that we do better to achieve regional cost recovery across the entire region. Thank you.
Councillor Turnbull?
Oh, to the chair, that's hard to follow up, Mark. So with these two options, I really appreciate bringing all of those agreements together as one package. With option one, if my understanding, it would come to council once a year, sort of like as a receive and file. Is that how it would come?
Mr. Doney?
Through the chair, so we would bring the fire master plan on an annual basis or a regular basis, and any agreements that we've entered into will be included in that. And so the fire master plan would be a receive and file.
Okay, so that would be it. And then you mentioned that the terms and the renewal clauses are partly what we're looking at. And when I'm looking at these services, almost all of them say written notice to terminate. So when we are looking at renewals, is there times for terminate with these leases, or is it always able to terminate whenever?
Chief Lane Jackson?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I'll just ask the city solicitor to confirm this, but the terms with agreements, there'd be terms where they would expire and we would renegotiate, and it's typically 5-year within the agreement, but there is usually always a clause that any party could terminate before that, and there's usually some conditions or requirements.
Sorry, through the chair, that's correct.
Ms. Williams?
Through the chair, that's correct. That's the correct interpretation, yes.
I'm just looking at this procedurally. So if we did option one and we received it as a receive to file and something didn't sit well with council, it would be fairly easy to go back and terminate something or renegotiate, or do we need to have an actual approval?
Mr. Doney?
Through the chair, what we're looking for is, or what we're requesting is to delegate the authority to admin to enter into these contracts. And we wouldn't expect council to ask us to go back and renegotiate. There's always that clause, and so we, typically 30 days or however it's written in there. But I would just advise council that we're asking for the authority to enter into the contracts. And so if you're not comfortable with that, then obviously we can answer questions, but that's what we're asking for today.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm asking. I like the spirit of everything. I'm just wondering if it should be council to approve versus council to receive and file. But if the contracts are very easy, if something didn't set well with a thing, it is comforting to know that it's pretty, like if we were to delegate authority, that like some of our other partnerships will say that our UMAs and things will come back and say, if it's a big decision or so many years, it has to come to council for a decision point. And this particular one doesn't say that. So I've just seen, like, if something did come and for whatever reason it didn't sit well, how would we deal with it?
Mr. Doney?
Yeah, through the chair. So the contracts will have termination clauses in there. And if council chose at that time that they really didn't like something, then at the will of council, those could be re-looked at.
Okay. And then to the chair, would there be something similar to some of our other partnerships where they do have those clauses for like really big decisions that has to come for like a council approval? Because like this doesn't seem to have any of those.
Mr. Doney?
Yeah, through the chair. So it does not have those. We're looking to request the delegation of authority. As far as big decisions, like we've got a list of 15 agreements and 2 more that we may enter into. And we're not looking to provide any additional services than what the fire department already provides. So the services will be the full service that the fire department provides, kind of at the max level. So I wouldn't expect any larger decisions than that would need to come back to council from my perspective.
Okay. Procedurally, how would it work if we changed it from a receive to file to us approved once a year? Would that be okay?
Mr. Doney?
Through the chair, my perspective would be that you choose option 2 and just don't delegate the authority to administration if you wanted to approve the agreements.
Okay. I certainly like them all coming all at once. I just was just the risk of what happens. So I guess to the chair, if I could ask the fire chief, like, if something didn't sit well or whatever, if the termination clause, what's your faith in us being able to deal with it as a receive and file?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. I think Mr. Doney, we work for council through the city manager. So if city council directed us to something wasn't sitting well with an agreement, and they directed us through the city manager to terminate or renew or open an agreement, we would carry that out. So I think that, I hope that answers your question. So if there was, that would be my take on it.
I'll just ask through the chair, the city solicitor, like, if we did see something we want to turn around, do you think it would be hard for us to do?
Ms. Williams?
Yeah, through the chair, as Mr. Doney and I think Chief Jackson both alluded to, I would say if council's not comfortable sort of delegating the authority for these to be determined and negotiated, I would say then don't go with the recommendation that's before you. Don't agree to delegate, because I think if there was something that came to council and you want to actually approve them, then you're technically not really delegating the authority for them to be negotiated by the acting city manager or city manager. What I would also say is that the agreements that would be in place that would come before you will have a notice to terminate in them. So if for example, council really wasn't comfortable and directed administration to look into an agreement again, the notice to terminate typically would have a reasonable notice period in it. Often it's over a year out, because those municipalities would have to have an opportunity to have their own fire services agreement put into place if it was going to be terminated with the city. So those notices to terminate usually are quite lengthy in any event. So, I think there's two options before you, and I would say if you're not comfortable, then I would take option 2.
Mr. Nichols?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just one other thing to consider in this when you're determining whether to take option 1 or option 2 is I'd respectfully suggest that you be very careful if you wanted to be the one making the decisions on all of these fire agreements, because you will open yourselves up individually and collectively to be lobbied by individual RM councillors or other elected bodies. And I don't believe you should be doing that. I mean, we are here to provide you the best advice. Clearly, we do an annual report. You might flag something at that time and say, wow, how was that decision made, or why did you do that? But I would give you a big cautionary flag of not opening yourselves up to be lobbied individually or as members of council as a collective.
I don't think I have any more questions. I certainly don't want all of those agreements to come to us individually. I think it's very efficient. I was just worried about the risk if there was a one-off or whatever. So I think I'm mostly for option 1, but it's probably better than option 2. And just have some faith there, and if something was an issue, we do have recourse.
Okay. I had one question. Just kind of wondering, I know we had possibly 15 or plus 2 more service agreements. In terms of dollar amount, is it quite substantial? Would that amount, these negotiations? I don't know. I don't know who could answer that question, but how backwards are we, and are we talking some significant dollars? Mr. Doney?
Through the chair, I'll start and then just ask Chief Jackson if he has any more details. But a lot of these agreements depend on the services that are provided and how much of that service is provided. So, there might be some, I'll call it holding cost or base cost to make sure that the service is available, and then it's maybe an hourly rate or something after that. So, if there's no fires, maybe we're not paying, charging a whole bunch, but if there's a lot of fires, then potentially a lot more. I'll let Chief Jackson provide any more details he can, knowing that we're in a public conversation.
Thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor. And I think Deputy City Manager Doney pretty much covered it. As I said before, the agreements are in need of update, and part of it is the funding side of them too, to update that funding side to a more modern, to reflect what current rates are. So there is the potential for some increased funding for sure.
Okay, so a lot of times these service agreements are based on how much activity we get called out to a service call, I guess, in those communities, correct? Chief Lane Jackson.
Yes, that is correct, Deputy Mayor. And there's also that retainer or that holding fee that Mr. Doney talked about too.
Okay, thank you. I guess if there are no more questions, Councillor Mancinelli, do you wish to speak on this?
No, I'm good. I made my point already.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask the clerk to call the vote.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, the motion is carried unanimously.
Can I ask somebody to move to adjourn the meeting? Councillor Sequis. And a second. Anybody opposed? All right, carried.